Most lines in the galaxy hole have tons of variation. I have 3 versions of just the Muscle Warrior saw hack, each with their own differences. There's tons of variation, even in just one line. I have 2 Galaxy Warrior saw hacks that have differences. And there's probably more differences with other Galaxy Warrior saw hacks that I've never found because they're expensive. I'm not going to buy all of them. But there's one line that tops all others in terms of variation. And that line is Domene. So Domene is a Spanish bootleg or knockoff of everything. So they are bootlegs and not knockoffs. The difference is they are trying to pretend to be other figures. So this is Tiger Man, actually. Great. That right there is the original figure that this stemmed off from. Actually, it was a bootleg of this figure. The Muscle Warriors Tiger Man is more so what this is based off of, but it all stems from this figure. The point is, it's trying to be this figure, pretending to be this figure. It's a bootleg. Domene is a line of Spanish bootlegs that came out of essentially dollar stores in the 90s from Spain. The reason we know that it's from the 90s is because on the back, you see the CE stamp. That was only introduced at around 1994. So these had to, at least this version of them, had to come after that. But it's very possible that the line started before that because there's another version that I sadly do not have any of that just said Domene on the back without the CE stamp. Those very possibly could have been made before this version, as they are much crappier, much worse quality, so it's very possible that those were released before. There's also a version that has the CE stamp and the Domene stamp, and those are a bit higher quality, as they also came out later. As I said before, this line has like tons of variation. I already mentioned some in the fact that there were figures in this line released without the CE stamp. But not only did they not have the CE stamp and had an extra Domene stamp, they were also new body molds. Or I guess these are the new body molds if those came before, which is kind of the theory. Those other ones had body molds without any waist articulation, so the torso and legs were connected by the waist, and the legs actually had the articulation. There's also one version that just had no leg articulation or waist articulation. You can see here that there's a pretty amazing saw hack and a pretty cool yig. So I don't know why they decided to make this change. I kind of like this version better, but I don't have any of the other ones, so I can't really make my decision until I get one of those, but they are quite rare in the United States. I was very lucky to get this one, and I actually have another one that I'm going to wait to show. The other characters in this line are Dragoon, Yig, just some generic, like, bearded men. There's, like, a strange amount. Like, Kiss band members. There's like 2 of them. There is like Bebop and Rocksteady, so some TMNT action in here. There's this one blue one right there that you can see, pretty awesome. Some wrestling stuff, so like Macho Man and like maybe Ultimate Warrior, and more that I'm either forgetting here or we just haven't found yet. Another huge variation is the coloring. So between the previous body molds without the CE stamp and the CE stamp version body molds, they have tons and tons of different paint variations and color variations. This one happens to not have any paint on the gauntlets here and have pink legs. I have seen some with, every single color of the rainbow painted on these gauntlets here. I've seen ones with every single color of the rainbow as the legs. I've seen ones that are entirely blue. I've seen ones that are entirely black. I've seen ones that have like a different color torso and gold, and there's tons. And I'll actually show off my other Domene figure because I kind of have to. And I actually just got it today. It is my favorite figure of all time and my holy grail of collecting. My, you know, this figure tops every other figure. I can't believe I'm holding it right now because I've been wanting this figure for so long, but here it is. The Domene Saw Hack. As I showed you before, I'm a massive Saw Hack fan. I have just 3 Muscle Warrior Saw Hacks alone. I also have 2 Galaxy Warrior Saw Hacks, 1 Freedom Fighter Saw Hack. I have a Los Amos Saw Hack, which I think I've shown in another video. I have another Muscle Warrior Saw Hack, but it's the rubbery, fully, like, no articulation body. But this is my favorite figure of all time, and I just got it in the mail, and I freaking love it. And this is kind of a big, you can see the difference. The legs, as you can see, are completely different colors. Green legs, pink legs. I like the pink better. I kind of wish my Saw Hack had the pink, but I can't complain. Because I got this one for $76, this one for $95. Now, that might sound like, oh my gosh, you spent so much, but that's actually, like, a good deal for both of these. Normally, they'd go for, like, probably $150. Most other ones are about $150. And here you go. You can see. Here's the red gauntlets. Red gauntlets and red hands. I guess there's gloves. And speaking of gauntlets and gloves, I guess not really gloves, but speaking of gauntlets, you can see right here, this one has this gauntlet on this side, this gauntlet on this side. There are 3 different gauntlet types in Domene. There is one that looks like this, with the 1 row of cubes and circles on the outside. And then there's one that has these stripes, these lines going down. My Saw Hack on both sides has lines going down. But there is also a 2 row of cubes, so it's kind of like this, but with 2 rows of cubes. And then there is, every combination of all of those on every figure. So that's the point I'm trying to make, is that these are not really set in stone figures. They are kind of just a mishmash of different parts that honestly no 2 figure looks really the same. I'm sure there are other Saw Hacks and Tiger Mans that are out there that look exactly the same. Personally, I've never seen them. This is kind of, the Saw Hack is kind of a more common one. I've seen a lot of the time that it has the stripes. They're on both sides. And, I've actually not seen that much green legs. But, you could imagine that there's a Saw Hack out there that looks almost identical to this, except for it has, no paint on the gloves, or on the gauntlets, or it has, the cube gauntlets, the double cube gauntlets. I've seen entirely black Saw Hacks that are like completely black. Those are awesome. I've seen Saw Hacks, obviously, that are the other mold with the no waist articulation. I've seen so much with this line. It's so cool, and in my opinion, the best line in the Galaxy Hole. And it's super fun to collect, in my opinion, because of the variation. I could get a Domene Tiger Man. I do have a Domene Tiger Man, and I can see another one that is almost the same, but if it's a good deal, and it has, blue trunks, I'm gonna buy it, because I love the line so much. And it's like, if I see a Galaxy Warrior Saw Hack, another Galaxy Warrior Saw Hack, I already have one, obviously, but if I see another one that's like, pretty similar, with, obviously there's going to be differences because that's just how that works, but I'm not going to buy it because it's always going to be the same. The mold is the same. It's like, one Prince Adam is going to look the same to another Prince Adam. Those two figures are not going to be different. With this, I could get one Domene Tigerman, one Domene Sawhack, and the next Domene Tigerman or Domene Sawhack I see is probably going to be different in some way, some interesting way that I'm going to want because I'm going to want to show it off. I'm going to want to touch it and see it and feel it because of the variation, and I think that makes this line so awesome. One thing that I found out today after getting this figure is that he is actually a bit rubberier, and this is kind of a segue into the next part, which is like the plastic variation. He's a bit more vinyl-y than the Tigerman, and I've seen other pictures of Sawhacks that also kind of look like this. You can kind of tell if you look at the arms. This one looks a little bit more rigid and painted. This one looks less. I can show you this figure. It obviously has some give to the arm. It is rubbery. Same with the other arm. The legs are this kind of, the legs I think might be like a racer. So that's not really going to change much. But the head as well is a little bit rubbery. It has a little bit of give. And the nose is just like that. I thought when I first got this, like a while ago, that I was like, oh my god, the nose is messed up. But no, that's just the mold. There is also a version with just like a straight, regular nose. So, yeah. The torso is a bit vinyl-y. It's definitely rubbery. But the Sawhack, when I first got it, I was like, oh my gosh, is it like a custom or something? Or is it, because I was like, this is so rubbery. It's much rubberier. It has way more give to the arms. The torso squishes way more. I don't know if you can really tell. But it's got a lot of give to it's completely hollow and it's like soft vinyl, so you can squish it a lot. The legs are the same material, obviously, and then the head, it's got a lot of rubberiness to it. So, yeah, the plastic can be very varied between different figures. These are the only two I have. I wish I had like 4, because then I could see which of them have this type of plastic and which of them have this type of plastic. I'm sure it could be like factories, and I'm sure this could, it's very possible that these are the only 2 differences between plastics. Like there's half of them are like this, half of them are like this, because at some point down the line they switched factories and they used a different type of plastic. That's probably what happened, but there's also probably different versions that I've never seen, probably ones that are much harder, much more rigid, and I have to have them to know that they exist, really, because I can't see what the plastic feels like by just looking at the figure on a picture. I'm going to talk about some history of these figures. We don't know much history about them, but we do know some. I know some. I've done a lot of research about this line because I love it. The first big thing is when I first started researching this line, when I first found out about it, I thought it was made by a company called Huyba. It's spelled Juyba. I actually have one Huyba figure. This is my Huyba Dragoon. I freaking love this figure. I got it a while ago for like $25. I got an insane deal on this on Whatnot, of all places. So, like, I got a crazy deal on this, and I'm really happy that I got this. Interesting enough, he's made out of, like, kind of a similar material to the legs. He's very rubbery. I thought he was going to be more rigid before I got him, but he's rubbery, and I don't know. I love this figure. Huyba is another Spanish company that made bootlegs and knockoffs back at around the same time as Domene did. We think that Domene is a company and not a line. And Domene basically only made, that we know of, these types of figures. So we call them Domene because we have nothing else to really call them. Because we don't know the line name. We've never found them packaged or carded or anything. We just haven't found it. I've done so much research about it because I've wanted to find, what exactly these figures are, but I haven't been able to do it. At first, we thought it was a company called Huiba because the head molds were either very similar or basically identical. But we found out that most likely it is not Huiba. Huiba puts their figures in kind of very distinct packaging where it's Huiba. They have this big logo. They don't put their name or line names on the backs of the figures. Most likely, Huiba did not make the Domene figures. As you can tell, these figures are, not that high of quality. And that is because, they are Spanish knockoffs, Spanish bootlegs, whatever you want to call them. Through doing research about this, I got in contact with somebody who knew much more about them than I did. He let me know, first of all, that the same company that made these figures also made, I think, bus seats or something weird and crazy. I think it was bus seats. So for whatever reason, this company in Spain that made bus seats decided to make knockoff figures. And since they didn't have that much money, they couldn't pay for, full factories to, assemble them. They either did unpaid prison labor or sent them to literal private homes for them to be assembled. It wasn't like a thing where they had factories and factories making these. They were sent to private homes to be assembled, which I just thought was really interesting, especially because, that's kind of uncommon to know that much about the exact manufacturing details about the figures. Also, in the past, I have found a really strange image of a Domene figure that apparently is not a custom, and it has a big chunk out of the back, I think, and it's like a big hole with a dragon head coming out of it. It's so weird. I've only ever found one picture of it, let alone pictures of other similar figures. It's honestly crazy that it exists. It doesn't even seem real, but it is. The last thing I'll do, which has become sort of a portion of these videos, is show off the figure itself and what I love about it, because I love these figures immensely. The first thing about the Sawhack specifically is the head. It's not that crazy unique, but it is unique. It was made for this figure or for other Spanish bootlegs. It's not the same as any other figure. They did include this, which is a feature on the Muscle Warriors Sawhacks. This is not on the original Galaxy Warriors Sawhack mold. As you can see, the original Galaxy Warriors Sawhack mold just has scales on the back. The first instance of that little design was, I think, on the Muscle Warriors Sawhack. So to me, the head is very cool. I also just am in love with Sawhack, so, I'm kind of biased on what a cool head looks like. I also think that the Tiger Man head is very cool. I just think it's an awesome mold. I think it's funny that the nose is like that. I think that the whole thing is just kind of cool. It's very crappy and shitty, and I love that because I'm a knockoff collector, and that's kind of the appeal of them sometimes, is the crappiness of them. So, yeah, I think that's awesome. Another thing I really like is the articulation, or rather the lack thereof, of the legs. You can see that they have no articulation on the legs, only at the waist, which is the same as the Muscle Warriors, and I also quite like that as well. And I kind of like that they have no articulation of the legs. That's kind of a unique thing. I don't know, I think it's cool. The mold as well of the torso is, to me, very unique. Obviously it's just the same kind of Motu style body, but it's cool. I think it's kind of different to other lines because the belt is built into the torso. I don't know, I think that's kind of cool. And it carries over to this part with this little bit. That doesn't, that can be offset. And just because it is the classic Motu style torso doesn't mean that it's kind of a cool, I think, cartoonish rendition of it. It's a little bit less realistic. I don't know. I think it's interesting. And basically, the entire composition of these figures to me is really cool. It's why it's my favorite line in the Galaxy Hole. And the size as well is super cool, super unique. Size does not vary that much in the Galaxy Hole. There's the rare minis that only happened like once or twice that I can think of. As you can see, they're much larger than regular Motu scale figures. I was super surprised when I first bought my first one, which is this Tiger Man. I was not expecting it to be so large, but it was. And the surprise was a good surprise, not a bad one. And with that, I think this video, the last one I've done in a while, is going to come to an end. If you've enjoyed what I've, done so far, and you've enjoyed this video, and you've enjoyed how I've laid out my research and the facts of this line, then you can check out some of my other videos. Most of my older ones are more just reviews specifically of the figures. But my last couple of videos weren't like that. My Los Amos Skeletor one specifically was pretty good. And then I made a, Thundercats bootleg video that I think was also okay. So, yeah, check those out. And I hope I'll see you again soon, because this video was honestly a blast to make. And I hope I make more in the future. I'll see you next time.